Bruce Lunsford is very recognizable silks to me, the black with the pink sash. He raced horses like Madcap Escapade in the States. You know, been in the game a long time. How did you get horses here at Woodbine? I know he has another trainer here, but how did you get horses for Mr. Lunsford?
Yeah.
And boy, I mean, these horses are good horses and you're doing well with them.
Yeah, I ran into Bruce a couple years ago, and he likes the way, I mean, most of the horses I've had it from 2, and he wanted different kind of training system to bring up his 2-year-olds, and so get all his 2-year-olds next year. He's already told me that, but I got most of them this year, all but one. You know, if they turn out to be really good horses, I mean, like really good horses, they probably won't be here down the road. They'll probably, you know, go down to Belmont or somebody, because they're going to race in the States, and that's if they can race there. But you know, I just he'd had trainers like Fletcher and stuff. He didn't like that huge system. He wants a little bit more, you know, smaller system. You know,
not quite factory leg with the 200.
I mean, you know, I'm very hands-on. I don't have a huge barn, you know, 30 horses at the barn or 25 or what, it varies. But you know, and he just liked the system and liked the way I did things, and it's worked out. And he's a very patient guy, and but I mean, he's also very aggressive. I mean, he wants good horses, and it doesn't matter how it's bred or who it's out of. If it can't run, put it down where it's competitive and run it there, or sell it, or get rid of it, or do where, you know, I mean, I had one filly last year. It was worth a lot of money on dollars and cents, but she couldn't run. And she was running for 12 bucks. And you know, that's just the way, the nature of the beast.
That's the way it is, yeah.
Beast, right? So I mean, but yeah, it's nice, and I have that nice horse Valentino that was supposed to come here as a 2-year-old. Then he got hurt, so we left him down south and gave him some time. And he's a pretty nice horse. I paid a lot of. I had bought Hot Toy as a yearling at the sale, and I paid a lot of money for it, but then she broke her back leg. Anyways, she was fine, but I just decided to breed her. And anyways, Seething was her first. I actually put her in the sale in Ocala, and I didn't get anything, and so I just bought her back out of the sale. And Seething, she was carrying Seething, and then there's Sniper, and they both won this year.
They've done very
Seething's
well.
got some issues. Sniper's pretty okay. He's an Ontario sired horse, so, and he's won 3 races. You know, he's got to step up into that A other than category now. So it's a big jump out of the Ontario sire.
Seething's won at least almost $50,000.
Yeah, so Seething's, you know, Seething's in the 320 kind of level. I mean, that's where he belongs, you know. But I mean, he's in where he's got a chance. And then there's a 2-year-old called Hot Sunday.
I think they're well off.
Which I left her there. She's a silent name, but I left her in South Carolina because she had just a little paddock injury, but she'll be all right next year. And then there's Sizzling. Sizzling's coming up. Sizzling and Shivers.
Shivers. How do you think of these names is the question for Barb.
Well, I got on hot. Seething was hot, and it's a long story, but Seething, you know, hot. Seething hot.
Seething hot, mad.
Sniper trajectory, you know, trajectory of the gun, Sniper.
You wanted to make sure they were S's?
Oh, and then I got into the S's, and then the only filly of the bunch got Hot Sunday. You know, in there, because Hot Toy is the dam, right? And then she got Sunday, because it's
Sunday silence.
It's a Sunday. Yeah. If I had thought it through, she would have had just an S there, but she got thrown in there. But then there's a couple other ones.
Shivers and...
I've got one mare, and then I've got one mare that I bred this year. Like one filly I bred this year. I actually have 2 mares now, but I don't, you know.
Well, that's good. So you got all aspects there. Don't look at Janice Main will tell you, do not let it get into like 10 brood mares.
We had a lot, and then of course we sold them all. And the only reason I ended up with one, it was a filly that I owned that actually she bowed her tendon, so it was early in the year, so I ended up breeding her.
Well, she's got all the angles covered, but what a great year. So you must be pleased then with how this year is going now.
Yeah, we're going slow, so you just kind of keep chin up and keep going, and he said, you know, I've got some nicer, a little bit better horses, and you know, and I've got, when you have owners for a while, you have to convince them where to run sometimes, and it's sometimes hard. It seems like it's really easy, and you know, everybody, especially if they're all, most of my owners breed horses, they don't claim horses, and breeders get very attached to their horses, and they put a lot of time and money in, and nothing's worse when you breeze that horse, and geez, it's just, can't breeze fast at all. And I tell them never get too excited till at least you get up to 5/8, because that's where they all start to part the seas. But especially those babies, you know, they can all breeze a quarter and they can all breeze 3/8, and most can go a decent half, but then it all separates. And that's where they all start to separate, and it's tough, you know, and it's tough, and you know, I can honestly say I've had some clients over the years that, you know, you tell them that their horses just can't compete at this level, or they can't compete at Woodbine, and before you know, the horse is in somebody else's farm. But you know what? I think I've done them justice and try to tell them, because you know, you don't want to train horses if you can't at least try to break even or win some money for somebody. You don't want to just keep them in there and know you're not going anywhere. It just, you know, it's just not a good feeling. So,
How many trainers on the track have that feeling?
I don't know, but I really don't know, but I'd rather have an empty stall than a horse that I know that can't win at Woodbine. I mean, I've got a lot, I mean, you just have to pick up the Penn National thing at night, and that, I mean, I sell a lot of horses down there, and they all win. But I do have a theory of don't be the last owner. I think that's the only way you can stay in this business as a racehorse trainer. You cannot, and you can't, if you have racehorses, I mean, you have to move them to where they can compete. I mean, that's just the economics of the game. You have to move them where they compete. And they can win races at Penn National and Mountaineer. Remember Namath?
Yes,
He
David,
broke
yeah.
his maiden here.
Yeah.
He won lots of money, but he just couldn't get any more.
Yeah.
He's won like, I sold him to a guy down at Penn National. He's won, or a lady down there. He's won like 3 or 4 races. He does
wow.
great, but he's not going to win here, right? And do I really want to take over a horse in a 3 for 12-5 over and over and over, and know that I'm always going to be like 3rd or 4th or 5th?
And you got to think about the horse. I mean, how great a feeling is it for horses
I've sold
that...
lots of horses that can't beat a pole here, and they go down there. And I just think that's, you know, and then you're always looking for a better horse. I think it's good for the owners, because they don't want to pay, it costs you just as much to train a cheap horse as a good horse. In fact, a good horse is a lot of time, I mean, you want a horse that can pay their way. And, you know, I think that's just important. I mean, that's just important. I just, you know, and if you own a horse, you know, I try to convince the owners not to own too many 2-year-olds. Like, just, I mean, I always have everything usually from 2, but for every 2-year-old, have at least an older horse. If you want to have a couple 2-year-olds, don't get anything for year 2. So those older horses can kind of cover some of your expenses, hopefully, while your 2-year-olds are developing, and you're not pushing your 2-year-olds. I mean, you let them develop as they can. Some are precocious, some aren't, some need time, some just come to hand with and run, some are slow, some are, you know, some, you know, it's, you just gotta, you know, play it by ear. But you don't want somebody owning like 5 2-year-olds if they're not used to the game, because it's a long process, and that'll turn, you know, it's just a long, expensive process, and, you know.
Well, we can tell that Barb is doing it right, for sure, because like I said, she's already matched last year's win total. We're looking forward to seeing Valentino Beauty again this year, hopefully. Struck the course, perhaps, in the Princess Elizabeth, and you know, this is the time to be betting the trainers that are surging now. Sometimes these things go in waves, right? The horses start off slowly, then they start winning. So this is the time to start betting on the Barb Minshall horses, and I really appreciate you coming out again, Barb.